So you are sitting in a really, really important meeting.
Right.
And you know exactly what you want to say. I mean, in your native language, your thoughts are sharp, they are clear, and they are highly intelligent.
Oh, absolutely. You have the perfect argument just ready to go in your head.
Exactly. But then the moment you open your mouth to speak in English, your mind just goes completely blank.
Just totally empty.
Yeah. It is as if someone suddenly unplugged the vital connection between your brain and your mouth. You were just left staring at your colleagues, searching for a word that you know you studied just yesterday. But it is entirely gone.
It is a truly terrifying feeling, honestly.
It really is.
The silence just stretches out in the room. You feel the eyes of your colleagues burning into you. Your heart beats faster. Your palms might start to sweat. And, well, the English vocabulary you have worked so hard to build completely vanishes into thin air.
You feel totally exposed.
Yes, completely exposed.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Speak Better English Podcast. We are so thrilled to have you with us today because that freeze, that terrifying moment of silence, it is not a failure of your vocabulary.
No, it is not.
It is not a sign that your English is bad. It is actually a biological hijack.
That is exactly what it is.
And today, using some incredible insights from a guide called The Fearless Speaker, Master Your Mental Fluency, we are going to rewire that exact moment.
I am so excited for this.
Me too. We are deeply exploring the concept of confidence and speaking anxiety, and this is specifically tailored for you, the non-native English speaker.
You know, it is just so important to reframe how we view this whole problem.
Right.
Before we get into the practical tools, we really need to redefine what mental fluency actually means.
Okay, let us define it, because I think people misunderstand this.
They really do. Many language learners operate under this false assumption that fluency is strictly about having a massive dictionary of vocabulary stored in your head.
Like you just need to memorize more words.
Exactly. They think it means executing flawless grammar every single time they open their mouths. But mental fluency is fundamentally different.
How so?
Mental fluency is about feeling safe in your own mind when you speak another language.
Feeling safe. I like that.
Yeah. It is the psychological ability to navigate a conversation without panic, even when you inevitably make a mistake or forget a specific word.
Wow, that distinction changes everything. It means the goal is not perfection. Right? Yeah. The goal is feeling secure.
Precisely.
I mean, have you ever known exactly what you wanted to express, but the overwhelming fear of making a mistake just paralyzed you before you even started?
And we must validate that exact feeling immediately, that freezing reaction. It is a biological response.
Biological. So it is not just in our heads.
Well, it is in our heads, but it is physical. When you feel anxious about speaking English, your brain interprets that social pressure as a literal physical threat.
Like a real danger.
Yes. To your nervous system, standing in a boardroom trying to remember a verb tense feels exactly the same as standing in a jungle facing a dangerous predator.
That is wild.
It is. Your brain activates your body's fight or flight system.
Yeah.
The blood quite literally rushes away from the language processing centers of your brain.
Wait, the blood actually leaves that part of the brain?
It does. It moves toward your muscles so you can run away or fight.
Oh, wow. That perfectly explains why the words completely disappear. Your brain is intentionally shutting down the language center because it thinks you need to run for your life, not, debate quarterly financials.
Exactly. Your brain thinks vocabulary is a complete waste of energy in a life or death situation.
That makes so much sense.
So today, we are going to introduce a concept from our source material called the Speak Confident overlay.
The Speak Confident overlay.
Right. This is a mental tool designed to block out that false fear response. We are going to walk through 5 specific mental tricks to keep your language pathways open and functioning.
And we are not just going to give you theories today.
No, definitely not.
For every single trick, we will give you a specific daily exercise to practice, a key phrase to memorize, and a real-world role play.
Yes, so you know exactly how to use it at work or at a dinner party.
This is exactly why the first step to mastering your speaking anxiety has nothing to do with learning new vocabulary.
Nothing at all.
It is about stopping the panic cycle when the words inevitably disappear.
Yes.
And the source material refers to this first trick as the buffering acceptance.
The buffering acceptance. The core objective here is profound, but it is actually really simple. The very first step to stop freezing when you speak is to stop fighting the freeze itself.
Stop fighting the freeze.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to look at what happens in our minds when we lose a word. It really comes down to how we judge ourselves.
Right. The inner critic.
Exactly. When you forget an English word, your immediate internal reaction is often severe, punishing panic. You tell yourself that you look foolish. You tell yourself that you sound incompetent.
And that internal judgment is the trigger, isn't it?
Precisely. That negative internal judgment sends an immediate stress signal to your brain's amygdala.
Which is the fear center of the brain.
Right, the fear center. So your body releases cortisol, which is a primary stress hormone.
And what does the cortisol do?
Well, when cortisol floods your brain, it physically impairs your hippocampus.
Wait, it physically impairs it.
Yes. And the hippocampus is the area responsible for retrieving memories.
Oh, I see.
That includes the memory of your English vocabulary. By judging yourself harshly and fighting the pause, you virtually guarantee that your mind will remain entirely blank.
Wow.
You are literally locking the door to your own vocabulary vault.
You know, it's funny. It reminds me of a computer buffering.
Oh, that is a great analogy.
Think about watching a video on your smartphone. Sometimes the internet connection drops and the video suddenly pauses.
Right, the screen freezes.
Yeah, and a small circle appears on the screen, just spinning continuously. In technology, we call this buffering.
Buffering, exactly.
The computer is simply downloading the next segment of the video so it can play smoothly. When Netflix pauses to load, we never think the television is completely broken.
No, of course not.
We understand it just needs a second to gather the necessary data. So why do we treat our own brains with less patience than we treat our electronic devices?
That is such a brilliant way to visualize it.
Your brain is just buffering. It just requires a brief moment to retrieve the correct English vocabulary.
Your brain is not broken. It is simply processing. However, the way you handle that processing time dictates the entire outcome of the conversation.
But wait, hold on a second. I'm thinking about a highly competitive, fast-paced business conversation.
Okay, paint the picture.
Imagine you were in a meeting in New York or London. Everyone is speaking quickly, interrupting each other, moving at 100 miles an hour.
A very stressful environment.
Highly stressful.
If I just sneak talking and pause, aren't they going to think I'm slow? Won't they assume I am lost and just talk right over me? That is a very, very common fear, but it is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of human psychology and authority.
Really? How so?
There is a massive, highly visible difference between a panicked pause and a confident pause.
Okay, walk me through the difference.
When a speaker panics, their eyes dart around the room nervously. They look down at the floor. Their breathing becomes shallow and their physical posture shrinks. They might even make a painful grimace.
Yeah, I have definitely seen that.
That displays insecurity. And yes, in a fast-paced room, people might jump in and take over the conversation.
Because you look like you need to be rescued.
Exactly. But a confident pause, that demonstrates tremendous power and authority.
What does a confident pause look like?
If you maintain steady eye contact with the room, breathe deeply, keep your shoulders back, and hold your space. A pause shows that you are in complete control of your thoughts.
So it is all in the body language.
Yes. It signals to the room that you are taking the necessary time to choose the most precise, impactful words. Native speakers inherently respect a confident pause. It makes you look thoughtful, not lost.
This brings us directly to our first practical application. We have a specific key phrase for you to memorize and use whenever your brain begins to buffer.
It is a great phrase.
When you lose a word, do not panic. Simply say, "Give me just a second to gather my thoughts."
That phrase is a phenomenal, highly protective tool.
Why does it work so well?
Because to a native English speaker, it sounds highly professional and polished. It clearly communicates that you possess valuable insights to share, and you are simply taking a brief moment to organize them logically.
Right.
More importantly, it prevents people from interrupting you because you have verbally claimed that time for yourself. You have told the room to wait, and they will.
Now, we have a daily exercise for you to master this concept. We call it the mirror pause.
This is a fun one.
Every single day, We want you to stand in front of a mirror in your home. Look directly into your own eyes. Ask yourself a random question in English out loud.
Like what kind of question?
For instance, ask yourself, what is my primary objective for work today? Begin to answer, but then intentionally stop talking for 3 full seconds. Count them in your head. 1, 2, 3.
That silence is going to feel long.
It will feel very long. During those 3 seconds, smile confidently at your reflection, maintain strong eye contact with yourself, and then calmly say the key phrase. Give me just a second to gather my thoughts.
The underlying purpose of this mirror exercise is entirely about reprogramming your nervous system.
Reprogramming it how?
Well, for most people, silence in a second language feels physically agonizing. By practicing this silence in front of a mirror in a completely safe environment, you are actively teaching your brain that a pause in conversation does not equal danger.
So you are basically training your brain to relax.
Yes, you extinguish the fight or flight response. You become comfortable living in the silence.
Let us apply this trick to a real-world role play.
Okay, let us do it.
Imagine you are sitting in a large conference room. The lighting is bright, the energy is tense. Your senior manager suddenly turns to you in front of 12 colleagues and asks for your detailed opinion on a complicated new software deployment.
Oh, that is high pressure.
Very high pressure. You are entirely unprepared for the question. The English terminology you need instantly vanishes from your mind.
Okay, so without the buffering acceptance trick, your default biological reaction kicks in. You stutter, you look down at your notebook, you say nothing while the panic consumed you, and the room feels incredibly awkward.
Right. That is the nightmare scenario.
But because you have practiced the mirror exercise, you completely change the dynamic of the room. You sit up straight, you look directly at your senior manager, you smile slightly, take a slow, deep breath, and say clearly, "That is an excellent question. Give me just a second to gather my thoughts."
Wow. In that simple, elegant exchange, you have successfully bought yourself crucial time. The entire room will patiently wait for you. You appear thoughtful, composed, and highly intelligent.
And the real magic happens inside your head.
Because your brain has time to buffer.
Yes. Your brain now has those vital extra seconds to safely retrieve the specific English vocabulary you need without the toxic flood of cortisol blocking the way. You answered the threat with calm control.
That is incredibly empowering.
It really is. And once you have secured that calm control, you face the next major hurdle.
Which is actually forming the sentences.
Exactly. Once you start speaking again, how do you construct your sentences? This leads us perfectly into the second mental trick from our source material, the one idea rule.
The one idea rule. I like how simple that sounds.
The fundamental concept here is simplifying your message to guarantee successful delivery.
You know, I think this is where so many of us get completely trapped. Why do we struggle so intensely with sentence structure when we speak a second language?
It is actually a trap of your own intelligence.
A trap of intelligence? What do you mean?
As an adult professional, your internal thoughts are highly sophisticated. In your mother tongue, you naturally utilize complex grammar structures, multiple subordinate clauses, and highly nuanced vocabulary to express these intricate thoughts.
Right, we're used to sounding smart and articulate.
Exactly, you do this effortlessly. But the critical mistake almost all non-native speakers make is attempting to translate those complex adult thoughts directly and literally from their native language into English in real time.
Oh, I see. They try to build a massive, intricate architectural structure in their mind while they are actively speaking.
Yes, they try to juggle 5 different ideas in one breath. They inevitably get tangled in the complicated grammar rules, they lose their place in the middle of the sentence, and they freeze entirely.
The pressure just becomes way too much.
It does. But the truth is, native speakers do not require poetic, flawless, highly complex grammar from you. They simply need to understand your core idea.
I use a specific analogy to visualize this exact problem, and it happens every time I pack for a vacation.
Oh, I want to hear this.
Imagine you possess a giant, heavy suitcase filled with everything you own. Now imagine trying to force that enormous heavy suitcase into the tiny trunk of a small sports car.
It is physically impossible.
Right. You will scratch the car, break the suitcase, and become immensely frustrated. The logical solution is to open the giant suitcase, take the individual items out one by one, and place them gently into the trunk.
That is a brilliant analogy.
Your complex, nuanced thought in your native language is that giant suitcase. Your current English-speaking ability during a stressful, high-pressure moment is the tiny car trunk. Do not attempt to force the entire complex sentence out of your mouth at once. Simply take the core ideas out and hand them to your listener one by one.
That is a perfect visualization of cognitive load. When you try to translate a massive sentence, your cognitive load is too heavy. You crash the system.
But I have to ask about how this is perceived.
Okay, what is your concern?
If you are a senior executive, a medical doctor, or a specialized engineer, doesn't simplifying your language make you sound significantly less intelligent?
That is a very valid worry.
Right. People study their entire lives to reach these positions. They want to be respected for their deep expertise. If they speak in short, basic sentences, won't their colleagues think they lack advanced knowledge?
I completely understand why you would feel that way, but it is a highly destructive false assumption. In global professional communication, extreme clarity is the ultimate indicator of intelligence.
Clarity over complexity.
Exactly. Utilizing highly complex grammar that causes you to stutter, pause awkwardly, and confuse your listener is drastically less effective than utilizing simple, basic grammar delivered smoothly and confidently.
That makes a lot of sense when you put it that way.
Think about the most effective communicators in the world. They do not use convoluted sentences. They make complex ideas easy to understand. If your colleagues understand your precise point immediately without having to decipher your grammar, they will perceive you as a highly competent and effective leader.
We have a powerful key phrase to help you execute this trick. Sometimes, despite your best intentions, you start a sentence and suddenly realize you are lost inside a long, complicated English thought.
It happens to everyone.
It really does. When that happens, stop talking, take a breath, and use this exact phrase. The main point I want to make is,
I consider that phrase to be a conversational emergency brake.
an emergency brake. That is a great way to describe it.
When a train is moving too fast and losing control, you pull the emergency brake. When your sentence is losing control and you realize you have lost your way, you use that phrase.
And it just resets everything.
It stops the grammatical confusion instantly. It forces both you and your listener to restart and focus exclusively on the single most critical piece of information you wish to convey. It is a highly graceful way to rescue yourself from a grammatical tangled web.
Your daily exercise for the 1ID rule is called the 3-sentence summary. We challenge you to perform this exercise out loud every single evening.
This is a challenging one, but so helpful.
Describe your day at work, or describe your plans for the upcoming weekend. However, the strict rule is that you are only allowed to use exactly 3 simple sentences.
Only 3.
Each sentence must follow the most basic English structure: subject, verb, and object. You are strictly forbidden from using complex clauses or connecting words like although, nevertheless, or furthermore.
Let me demonstrate the incredible difference this makes. A complex, stressful sentence that a non-native speaker might try to build in their head sounds like this. Although the weather was raining quite heavily this morning, which severely delayed my regular commute to the office, I eventually arrived and managed to successfully finish the financial report before the absolute deadline.
Wow. Just listening to that makes me anxious. That requires immense mental processing. You have to juggle tense, condition, and multiple actions simultaneously.
Exactly. So how do we apply the rule to simplify it?
We want you to simplify it into 3 distinct ideas.
Okay, let us hear them.
Sentence 1. It rained heavily today. Sentence 2. My morning commute was very slow. Sentence 3. I finished the financial report at work. That is it. 3 clear, strong, undeniable facts.
It's so much easier to say.
This daily practice forces your brain to prioritize clear information over decorative vocabulary. It trains you to find the core idea instantly.
Let us examine a role play for a social setting to see this in action.
All right, set the scene.
You are attending a casual dinner party with several native English speakers. The environment is loud and festive. You are introduced to someone new. They smile and ask you the most common social question in the English language. What do you do for work?
Oh, that question. If your profession is highly technical or complicated, your first instinct might be to explain the entire corporate structure of your organization.
Yes, people do that all the time.
You might try to list your specific daily responsibilities using the exact terminology from your native language. Because you are trying to translate technical jargon in a noisy room, you will quickly exhaust your vocabulary, become highly self-conscious, and your anxiety will spike immediately.
Instead, you must immediately apply the one idea rule.
Okay, let us do the role play.
Imagine you are a senior software engineer who manages a large international team that builds complex algorithmic trading systems for investment banks. Do not attempt to explain all of that at a dinner party.
What should I say instead?
Give them one clear, simple idea. You smile warmly, look them in the eye, and say, I work in technology. I build software for banks.
Wow, that is incredibly simple.
And you have answered the question perfectly. You provided a clear picture. If they are genuinely interested in the technical details, they will naturally ask a follow-up question. You have communicated your profession successfully with absolutely zero stress, and you kept the conversation flowing naturally.
This strategy flows directly into our third mental trick, which is called the pacing principle.
The pacing principle, this one is huge.
This trick is entirely focused on artificially lowering your physical speaking speed in order to gain total mental control over the language.
The concept of pacing is absolutely critical for mental fluency. We have to address a pervasive and dangerous myth in language learning.
What is the myth?
The myth is that fluency is defined by speaking incredibly fast.
Oh, right. Because native speakers talk fast, we think we have to talk fast too.
Exactly. When non-native speakers feel nervous or intimidated in a conversation, they almost always accelerate their speaking speed. They subconsciously want to get the English words out of their mouth as rapidly as possible so that the highly uncomfortable experience ends quickly.
They treat speaking like ripping off a bandage.
Yes, that is a great way to put it.
I've absolutely done this. You feel the spotlight on you and you just want to speed through the sentence so you can go back to hiding in silence. Well, why does speaking quickly cause so many biological problems?
Because speaking fast creates a severe biological crisis in your body. We call it a breath deficit.
A breath deficit?
Yes. Because you are rushing to finish your sentence, you stop breathing deeply into your diaphragm. Instead, you take shallow, rapid breaths into your upper chest.
And that causes panic.
A lack of proper oxygen immediately signals to your brain that you are in a state of physical danger. This accelerates the panic cycle, releases more cortisol, and almost guarantees that your mind will freeze. You are physically starving your brain of the oxygen it needs to process a second language.
I always compare this feeling to driving a car on a highway during a severe rainstorm.
Let us hear this analogy.
If you drive your car too fast on a road covered in deep water, your tires physically lose contact with the solid ground. You completely lose control of the steering wheel, and you are in extreme danger of crashing.
Hydroplaning, right?
Exactly. But if you simply recognize the dangerous conditions, take your foot off the accelerator, and slow the car down, your tires firmly grip the road again. You regain total control and can safely steer around any obstacles.
That is a perfect description of what happens in your brain.
Lowering your speaking speed by just 20% gives your brain the necessary fractions of a second it desperately needs to safely retrieve vocabulary and format grammar. You regain your secure grip on the English language.
Furthermore, from a mechanical perspective, native speakers have spent decades building deep muscle memory in their lips, tongue, and jaw to produce English sounds rapidly.
Right, their muscles are used to it.
As a non-native speaker, you are asking your facial muscles to perform complex new acrobatics. If you rush those new movements, you will stumble over your pronunciation. Slowing down allows your muscles to form the words correctly.
But I have to bring up a realistic scenario here. Native English speakers, especially in major corporate hubs, frequently talk at an incredibly rapid pace. The environment demands speed.
That is very true in many workplaces.
So if we genuinely want to blend in and sound like highly competent professionals, shouldn't we push ourselves to match their rapid speed? If we speak slowly, will we stand out in a negative way?
Attempting to match a native speaker's rapid speed is a dangerous trap that leads directly to failure. Yes. When you choose to speak slowly and deliberately, You actually command significantly more authority in any given room.
Authority from speaking slowly.
Absolutely. Think about the greatest leaders, politicians, or business executives giving major speeches. They absolutely never rush their words. They speak with a measured, deliberate, and highly calm pace.
That is true. They always take their time.
When you intentionally slow down your speech, a fascinating psychological phenomenon occurs in the room. The listeners around you will naturally and subconsciously adjust their own internal rhythm to match your calm pace.
Wow, so you actually control the room.
You are not failing to keep up with their fast pace. You are confidently setting a new, calmer tempo for the entire conversation. You become the anchor in the room.
The key phrase we have for you to implement this pacing strategy is extremely direct and highly effective. When a conversation feels entirely too fast and you feel the panic rising, use this phrase. Let's take this one step at a time.
I highly recommend this phrase because it accomplishes two vital goals simultaneously.
What is the first goal?
First, it clearly communicates to your audience that you are going to break down a complex topic systematically, which sounds highly professional and analytical.
And the second goal?
Second, and more importantly, it acts as a direct verbal command to your own brain to physically slow down and stop rushing the communication process.
Your daily exercise to practice this strategy is called the half-speed read. Every morning, we want you to find a short news article written in English. Read one single paragraph of the article out loud. But here is the critical challenge. You must read the text at exactly half of your normal speaking speed.
It should feel awkwardly and uncomfortably slow to you.
Extremely slow. While you read at this exaggerated slow pace, you must focus entirely on clearly pronouncing every single consonant sound at the very end of every single word.
The function of this specific exercise is to build that deep muscle memory in your mouth, your lips, and your jaw. It physically trains your muscles to articulate English sounds clearly, which is biologically impossible to achieve if you are constantly rushing. Furthermore, it scientifically proves to your brain that incredibly slow speech is still a highly effective, powerful, and understandable form of human communication. You learn to trust the slow pace.
Let us visualize a realistic work setting role play for the pacing principle. You are giving a critical project status update to a room full of your colleagues. The meeting is running 20 minutes late. Everyone is visibly rushing.
The stress level must be so high.
Very high. People are constantly checking the time on their phones. The overall energy in the conference room is highly stressed and frantic. You stand up to give your presentation.
The overwhelming biological temptation in that specific environment is to speak faster to match their frantic energy and finish your presentation as quickly as possible.
Right, you want to just get it over with.
Doing that will only cause you to lose your breath, stumble over your English words, and completely lose your train of thought. Instead, you must fiercely apply the pacing principle.
How do you do that in such a frantic room?
You stand tall. You take a deep, visible breath. You deliberately speak significantly slower than everyone else in the room. You say, let's take this one step at a time. The first phase of the project is fully complete.
By stubbornly holding your slow pace, you maintain your own mental fluency. And remarkably, your calm demeanor will actually lower the stress levels of everyone else in the room. They will stop looking at their phones and start listening to your steady, confident voice.
This beautifully sets up the fourth mental trick presented in our source material, the curiosity pivot.
The curiosity pivot. This one is fascinating.
It is an absolutely fascinating psychological strategy. It involves intentionally deflecting the conversational spotlight away from yourself precisely when you feel a freeze approaching.
We really need to analyze how non-native speakers view interactions. Many view a conversation as a solo performance.
A solo performance, exactly. They feel as though they are standing alone on a dark stage with a bright, hot spotlight shining directly and only on them. They feel the immense, crushing burden that they must continuously provide all the interesting content, all the advanced vocabulary, and all the perfect grammar to keep the interaction alive.
But a real human conversation is never a solo performance. A conversation is a tennis match.
A tennis match, I like that.
You hit the ball over the net to the other side, and then you wait for the other person to hit the ball back to you. We use the idiom hitting the ball over the net to mean passing the responsibility of the conversation to the other person.
So you do not have to hold on to the ball the whole time.
No. If you suddenly forget a word or you feel your internal anxiety rising rapidly because the cognitive load is too heavy, you can simply hit the conversational ball back to the other person by asking them a direct question.
I see this exact dynamic when passing the ball in a soccer game.
Tell me about the soccer analogy. Imagine you are playing soccer and you have the ball at your feet. Suddenly, 3 opposing defenders surround you completely. You do not have a clear shot at the goal. You are physically trapped. What is the correct move?
You pass the ball.
Exactly. You do not stubbornly keep trying to run directly through 3 defenders. You intelligently pass the ball to a teammate who is standing in an open space. Asking a question in a conversation is exactly like passing the soccer ball. It gives you a crucial moment to breathe, rest, and reset your mental fluency while the other person happily takes control of the conversation.
It is such a brilliant strategy.
But if I do that, is this curiosity pivot just a clever trick to avoid talking entirely?
That is a fair question.
If a colleague asks me a direct question and I immediately pivot and ask them a question instead, won't they obviously notice that I am changing the subject simply because my English skills are failing in that moment? Won't I look evasive?
That question reveals a deep misunderstanding of human psychology and ego. Human beings absolutely love to be asked for their personal opinions.
We really do love talking about ourselves.
They genuinely enjoy talking about their own perspectives and experiences. It makes them feel valued. When you ask someone a thoughtful, relevant question, the other person absolutely does not think, aha, they forgot an English word, they are failing.
What do they think instead?
Instead, they think, wow, this person is an incredibly engaging listener, and they truly value my professional expertise. Asking questions is universally perceived as a highly advanced communication skill, not a tactic for evasion.
The key phrase we have for the curiosity pivot is a seamless way to hand over control of the conversation gracefully. You say your brief thought, and then you immediately use this phrase. That's how I see it. What are your thoughts on this part?
It is a brilliantly constructed phrase. You contribute a small, manageable piece of information to the discussion, proving your engagement, and then you immediately and politely invite the other person to assume the heavy lifting of the conversation. You give them the stage, and they will gladly take it.
Your daily exercise to master this pivot is called question mapping. We want you to take a physical sticky note. Write down 3 universal, open-ended questions in absolutely perfect English.
What kind of questions?
For example, question 1, how did you personally handle that specific situation? Question 2, what is your perspective on this new trend? Question 3, what was the most challenging part of that project for you?
Those are fantastic, versatile questions.
Stick this note directly on your computer monitor or your bathroom mirror. Read them every day. Memorize these 3 specific questions until they become a permanent, automatic reflex in your brain.
So you do not even have to think about them.
Exactly. When severe panic hits and your mind goes blank, your brain will have these perfectly formed, grammatically correct questions ready to launch instantly without any effort.
Let us construct a role play in a social setting to demonstrate the pivot perfectly.
Okay, where are we?
Imagine you are sitting in a local coffee shop with an English-speaking colleague you are trying to build a relationship with. You are enthusiastically discussing a movie you both watched recently. You want to express the specific thought that the person who directed the movie did a terrible job, but you completely forget the English word for director.
Oh, I hate when that happens. You feel the dreaded freeze starting to take hold. You know the word in your native language, but the English equivalent is gone. The awkward silence begins to stretch.
And this is where people usually panic.
Instead of standing there snapping your fingers, looking up at the ceiling, and visibly struggling to remember the word director, you instantly deploy the curiosity pivot. You look at them and say, I had mixed feelings about how the movie was made, but I'm very curious. What was your absolute favorite part of the film?
That is a flawless execution. You successfully pass the conversational ball. The other person will enthusiastically begin talking about their favorite scene in the movie. You have expertly navigated the mental block without creating any awkwardness, and you gave your brain a vital opportunity to relax, lower the cortisol levels, and recover its fluency while they talk.
We have now arrived at our 5th and final mental trick.
The final trick. This is a big one.
This specific trick draws its inspiration directly from the title concept of our source material. It is the Speak Confident mental overlay. This concept focuses entirely on actively visualizing a highly successful interaction before the interaction even physically begins.
This trick is deeply rooted in modern neuroscience. The human brain is an incredibly powerful organ, but it possesses a very specific and highly exploitable blind spot.
A blind spot.
Yes, the brain actually struggles to differentiate between a vividly imagined event and an event that is actually happening in physical reality.
Really? So imagination feels real to the brain.
Exactly. When you sit in your office and intensely worry about making English mistakes before a big meeting, your brain physically experiences that imagined failure as if it is absolutely real. It floods your body with stress hormones, actively pre-programming your nervous system to freeze the moment you enter the room. You are practicing failure before you even start.
The Speak Confident overlay is a strategic method to hack that biological system. Think about taking a photograph with a high-end camera.
Okay, I am picturing a camera.
You have the ability to place a physical glass filter directly over the camera lens. If you attach a bright yellow filter, the entire landscape looks warm, sunny, and inviting. If you attach a dark blue filter, the exact same landscape looks cold, dark, and intimidating.
That makes perfect sense.
Before you enter any English-speaking situation, you are actively choosing to place the Speak Confident filter over your mind's internal lens. You are making a conscious decision to view the room, the people inside it, and your own language abilities through a warm lens of inevitable success, rather than a cold lens of absolute fear.
I love the theoretical idea of this overlay, but practically speaking, how do you actually execute this?
What do you mean?
Imagine you are standing directly outside the boardroom door. Your hands are visibly shaking, your stomach feels physically ill, and you are actively terrified of speaking English to the executives inside. You cannot just magically pretend to be confident when your body is screaming in terror.
That is the single most critical misconception we must correct today. Confidence is an action. It is not always a feeling.
An action, not a feeling. I want you to expand on that.
You do not have to feel brave on the inside to act brave on the outside. You do not have to magically eliminate the physical sensation of fear. You simply have to choose to execute the brave action in that specific moment, despite the fear.
So you just do it anyway?
Yes. The mental overlay is a firm decision you make, regardless of your trembling hands or racing heart. When you physically act confidently, by standing tall, smiling, and speaking clearly, your brain eventually receives the physical signal that you are safe. The genuine internal feeling of confidence will inevitably follow the physical action of confidence.
Our key phrase for applying this mental overlay helps you establish a positive, confident tone immediately. The moment you begin speaking, start your sentence with this phrase. I am really excited to share this with you today.
Starting with the word excited, why is that word so important?
Starting a conversation or a formal presentation with the specific word excited physically rewires your brain's emotional state in that exact moment. Psychologically, the physical sensations of severe anxiety, such as a rapidly beating heart, sweaty palms, and shallow breathing, are biologically almost identical to the physical sensations of intense excitement.
Wait, fear and excitement feel the same to the body.
They do. By verbally labeling your physical feeling as excitement, you effectively trick your brain into shifting from a negative state of panic into a positive state of high energy. You tell your brain, we are not running away from a predator. We are thrilled to present this idea.
Your daily exercise to master this final trick is called the 60-second rehearsal.
This is such a powerful daily habit.
Before you leave your house in the morning, or before you click the button to join an important video call, you must close your eyes for one full, uninterrupted minute. During those 60 seconds, vividly imagine yourself in the upcoming situation. Picture yourself speaking perfect, slow, incredibly clear English.
And what about the other people in the room?
Most importantly, you must vividly picture the other people in the room reacting positively. Imagine them smiling warmly at you. Imagine them nodding their heads in complete agreement with your brilliant ideas.
By performing this detailed visualization, you are gifting your brain a pre-programmed memory of absolute success. When you open your eyes and physically walk into that meeting room, your brain feels a sense of familiarity. It feels as though it has already successfully navigated and conquered this specific environment once today. The environment feels safe, which keeps the language centers open.
Let us examine a crossover roleplay that applies beautifully to both professional work and personal social life. Walking into a large networking event. You are about to enter a crowded hall full of native English speakers you have never met. Your immediate biological instinct is to hide in the dark corner of the room, stare at your phone, and avoid communication completely.
We have all felt that instinct.
Instead of surrendering to that instinct, you pause outside the main doors. You consciously apply the Speak Confident overlay. You take a deep, stabilizing breath. You physically correct your posture. You pull your shoulders back and lift your chin. You close your eyes and visualize yourself walking confidently up to a group of strangers, speaking clearly, and seeing them smile back at you with genuine interest.
Then you open the doors. You walk directly up to a stranger. You extend your hand confidently, you smile warmly, and you say, "Hello, I am really excited to be here today and meet everyone. How is your evening going?"
That is brilliant.
You deliberately chose the physical action of confidence, and your mental fluency naturally followed that bold lead. You hacked your own nervous system.
We have covered an immense amount of critical ground today on our shared mission to conquer speaking anxiety. We have completely redefined what it means to be fluent. Let us systematically recap the journey we have taken together through the source material.
First, we explored the buffering acceptance. You must completely stop the internal panic cycle when you naturally pause to find a word. Treat yourself with the patience you give a computer.
Excellent.
Second, we discussed the one idea rule. You must stop translating massive sentences and instead simplify your complex thoughts into easily manageable pieces. Unpack the heavy suitcase.
Take out the items one by one.
Third, we examined the pacing principle. You must intentionally and artificially slow down your speaking speed to prevent a breath deficit and maintain control. Do not drive fast in the rain.
Lower your speed by 20%.
Fourth, we analyzed the curiosity pivot. You must deflect the conversational spotlight when you feel blocked by actively asking open-ended questions. Pass the soccer ball to a teammate.
Ask them for their opinion.
And finally, we detailed the Speak Confident mental overlay. You must pre-program your success by visualizing positive interactions and choosing the action of confidence, even when you feel afraid.
I urge you to diligently utilize the key phrases we provided today. Memorize them until they're automatic. Give me just a second to gather my thoughts. The main point I want to make is, let's take this one step at a time. What are your thoughts on this part? And I am really excited to share this with you.
Those phrases will save you so much stress.
Furthermore, you must actively practice the daily exercises. Stand in front of that mirror and practice to pause. Read your news articles at half speed. Map your questions on sticky notes. Do the 60-second rehearsal. These are not just nice ideas. These are the practical mechanical tools that will fundamentally transform your mental fluency.
I want to offer a final, sincere word of encouragement directly to you. The very act of speaking a second language in a professional or social environment is a massive, incredible intellectual achievement. It requires immense dedication, high intelligence, and extraordinary bravery.
It really does. It is not easy.
This simple, undeniable fact that you are communicating your thoughts in English at all means you are already achieving a high level of success. Never forget that the ultimate true goal of any language is human connection. It is never absolute grammatical perfection. If you successfully connect with another human being and share an idea, your English is already perfect enough for that exact moment.
That is beautifully and accurately stated. I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to thoroughly mull over as you continue your journey toward fearless speaking. When you speak English, you probably assume deep down that all the native speakers around you are silently and harshly judging every single tiny grammar mistake you make. You assume they are criticizing your accent and your vocabulary.
That is the fear, yes.
But I want you to consider a completely alternative reality. What if they're actually just deeply and genuinely impressed that you possess the intelligence and courage to speak their language? What if, instead of silently judging you, they're actually silently cheering for you to succeed?
Shifting to that specific perspective completely changes the entire dynamic of any room you enter.
It changes absolutely everything. The next time you open your mouth to speak, boldly assume that the room is full of supportive allies, not harsh critics. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We wish you immense success as you transition from shy to fluent. Keep practicing, keep stepping into the light, and remember that your voice and your ideas are truly worth hearing.